Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Thank you, Linda. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, First Canto, 13th chapter, text number 46. Just adjusting my little screen here. Okay. Kala karma guna dino deho yam panchabautika katam anyam stu gopayet sarpa grasto yataparam. Kala karma guna dino deho yam panchabautika katam anyam stu gopayet sarpa grasto yataparam. Kala karma guna dino deho yam panchabautika katam anyams to gopayet sarpagrasto yataparam. Someone else?
Kala karma gunadhino dehoyam panchabhutika katham anyam tu gopayat sarpagrasto yathaparam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kala karma gunadino dehoyam panchabhotika katam anyam tu gopayet sarpagrasto yata param.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kala karma gunadhino deho yam panchapotika katham anyastu gopayet sarpagrasto yata param. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhakta Bhav. Hare Bo.
Hare Bol. Kala karma gunadino diho yam pancha botika katam anyam stu gopayet sarpa grasto yata param. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone
Hare
else?
Krishna.
Hare Bo Ramshan Prabhu.
Kala karma gunadhino deho yam panchabhautika katham anyastu gopayat sarpagrasto yatha param. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Kala karma gunadhina dehoyam panchabhautika katham anyamstu gopayet sarpagrasto yatha param.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kala karma gunadhino deho hayam panchabhotika katham hayanyasitu gopaya sarvadrashto yatha param.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, word for word. Kala, eternal time. Karma, action. Guna, modes of nature. Adina, under the control of. Deha, material body. And mind. Ayam, this. Panchabautika, made of the 5 elements. Katam, how. Anyan, others. Tu, but. Gopayet, give protection. Sarpa grasta, one who is bitten by the snake. Yata, as much as. Param, others. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This gross material body made of 5 elements is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others. Purport. The world's movements for freedom through political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda can do no benefit to anyone, for they are controlled by superior power. A conditioned living being is under the full control of material nature, represented by eternal time and activities under the dictation of different modes of nature. There are three material modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. Unless one is situated in the mode of goodness, one cannot see things as they are. The passionate and the ignorant cannot even see things as they are. Therefore, a person who is passionate and ignorant cannot direct his activities on the right path. Only the man in the quality of goodness can help to a certain extent. Most persons are passionate and ignorant, and therefore their plans and projects can hardly do any good to others. Above the modes of nature is eternal time, which is called Kala, because it changes the shape of everything in the material world. Even if we're able to do something temporarily beneficial, time will see that the good project is frustrated in course of time. The only thing possible to be done is to get rid of eternal time, Kala, which is compared to Kala Sarpa, or the cobra snake, whose bite is always lethal. No one can be saved from the bite of a cobra. The best remedy for getting out of the clutches of the cobra-like Kala, or its integrity, the modes of nature, is Bhakti Yoga, as it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. The highest perfectional project of philanthropic activities is to engage everyone in the act of preaching Bhakti Yoga all over the world, because that alone can save the people from the control of Maya, or the material nature represented by Kala, karma, and guna, as described above. The Bhagavad Gita 14:26 confirms this definitely. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jananjanan Salakaya Chaksu Umilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakarav Mayam Dadate Swavedante Kam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all, wonderful, loving, dear devotees, for being here this morning to continue our sadhana of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the early morning. So this topic today is about Kala, or time. So I didn't have a chance to do a super deep dive, because if you look in the Veda base, time is mentioned over 50,000 times, 50,000. And more specifically, eternal time is mentioned more than 2,000 times. So it would take a long time to research it. But I pulled up a few things to help us understand. Let's give a little, not credit, but we'll give a little audience to the definition of time, because it'll help us in our pursuit of understanding time. So from the mundane perspective, time is defined as the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as whole. They give an example: travel through space and time. Then number two, a point of time as measured in hours and minutes past midnight or noon. Quote, the time is 9:30, end quote. So it's obvious from the mundane perspective, time is just this concept of a certain duration, say from midnight again till this time, which is 8 o'clock or whatever. So we say that time, or we say it's time to wake up, it's time for the morning program, time to start our program, time to go to work, time to go to school, time to eat breakfast, time to whatever. So we put time as an impersonal force that we recognize in incremental stages, 8 to 10, 10 to whatever, you know? And then we segment our activities within that scope of time. But generally speaking, internationally speaking, people don't see time as a person. That is the major difference. And even for us, and I personally myself, as I started looking at this, because the other day I had to give another class on time, and I started realizing that I myself am seeing time just in this incremental concept. I'm not seeing it as it really is, what it really is. It is time to do something, but no one asked the question, what is time? And then when they tried to define it, it ends up being, again, an impersonal concept. So Krishna explains to us in the Bhagavad Gita, and please excuse me as I shift through some of my papers here. He explains to us in the Bhagavad Gita about time in 11th chapter, text 32. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalo Asmi Loka Shaya Krit Pravriddho Kalo Asmi Loka Shaya Krit Pravriddho Lokan Samahartam Hartum Iha Pravrita Rite Pitwamna Bhavishanti Sarve Ye Vastita Pratyanikeshu Yoda. Supreme Personality of God has said, time I am. Time I am. The great destroyer of the worlds. And I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So that Krishna is saying, I am time. Of course, we can't see time. Time is not something you can pull down, put in the test tube, stir it with some chemicals, and here it is. These are the elements of time. In fact, people have no idea what the elements of time are. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, Lord Kapila is explaining about time, and there's actually a whole section describing calculation of time from the atom. This is the Vedic concept. And I forget all the technical Sanskrit words, but there's a word for each little segment of time. Like in the morning, I listened to this prayer, Narayan Kavacha, and it mentions the last gatikas of time. So gatika is one segment of time, this segment, that segment. And of course, in the spiritual world, Krishna has all kinds of time. One dear godbrother, Dasa Prabhu, did a translation of a beautiful Bengali book describing Krishna's different times. There's a time to go out with the cowherd boys. There's a time to take his lunch. There's all these different times to put on his jewelry, his clothing. Amazing time. But here Krishna's telling us, I am time. Now, what does that mean for us? If he's time, I'm looking at my watch and I'm saying, it, whatever, 8:10, time. But it's Krishna. Here's the amazing thing. We're moving through time, like it said in the definition, dictionary definition, moving through time and space. We're moving through time and we're moving through Krishna, and we don't remember that. At least I don't. I don't know about all of you. I don't think of that. I just think it's time to do something. But time is Krishna. So why is it that I am so caught up in this material world that I don't take advantage of Krishna's presence at every moment? In another place, it described that the super soul is also is another form of time, because time sees everything and the super soul sees everything. The super soul is aware of everything. He's a supreme knower. He's the supreme Chaitra Gya. Chaitra means the field of activities. Gya means one who knows. So we are Chaitra Gya. We know this body, field of activities, but the supreme knower of all bodies is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how does he do that? In his form as super soul. But time is also, super soul is also time, keeping an eye, watching everything. So it behooves the intelligent person, especially those like ourselves who are struggling struggling to make progress in Krishna consciousness. Don't fool yourself. Don't take this cheaply. I'm talking to you and talking to me. We should not take this cheaply. Time and tide wait for no man. It's incredible. They have some idea about time, but they don't know it's a person. But they know it has an impact on everything we do. Everything, every single thing is impacted by time. Time I am, the destroyer of all worlds. As I mentioned before, this famous scientist Oppenheimer, when he saw the detonation of the atomic bomb, he quoted this verse from Bhagavad Gita to try and describe the amazing manifestation before him. He couldn't find any other words. Like sometimes we'll say, I'm at a loss for words. So he was at a loss for words. So he went to the Bhagavad Gita and he quoted Bhagavad Gita because the Gita describes so many things. Time. There's nothing more powerful than time. Why is that? Because it's Krishna. Simple answer. Why is there nothing more powerful than time? Why do they say time and tide waits for no man? Because it's Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 subject matters that are described. Ishwar, Jiva, Kala, Karma, and what's the 5th one? I'm missing one. Who knows? Prakriti. So 5. And of the 5, 1 is not eternal, and that is karma. The other 4 are eternal, including Kala. Kala is another name for time, or Sanskrit name, and is the Supreme Lord. Then there's Kala Chakra. In our mundane world, we call it the wheel of time. People say the wheel of time is moving. But again, they don't understand what is time. They have a sense that time is affecting. They call it the wheel of time. So Kala Chakra. And Srila Prabhupada explains that every atom is moving within its own Kala Chakra, little cycle of time. And everyone's time is predestined. There's a time to be born and there's a time to die. There's actually one song, I can't remember now, but it talks about that, one famous song. So time of the season, I think is either Bob Dylan or someone, but it's the time of the season. And things are moving. Like Srila Prabhupada, I was listening to him this morning, he was saying, everything is temporary because the time will infect it. So he said, it's winter time and it's cold. I know up north there in Philadelphia and New Jersey, I know it's getting cold, but also here in Atlanta it's getting cold. So I turn on my little heater, put on my little sweater and extra t-shirt, whatever, because it's time. Time, the changing is happening, changing of the seasons. But again, they have no idea who's doing this. It's all impersonal to the mundane people. Therefore, the fear of time is not something that devotees should be overwhelmed by. We should not be overwhelmed by the fear of time because time will diminish everything. We're born into this world, we grow, we produce byproducts, we dwindle, and then at the end we vanish. Dehino sminyata dehe, that verse we know, Bhagavad Gita, Dehino sminyata dehe, kalmaram yovanam jara, tatati handara praktir, dearest tatra namuyati. So dearest, dira, one who's sober, who knows things as they are. It's like, if I know what's in the other room, even though the light is out and it's dark as night, I'm not afraid. Because just by cause of habit, I know what's on the right side, I know what's on the left side, I know what's in front of me, I know, even if I can't see anything, I've done it so many times, I have no fear. So the devotees of the Lord have no fear of the influences of time, even though time diminishes everything. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, even if we try to do something good, as he says, the world's movements for freedom through political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda can do no benefit. But even if it does some little benefit, it doesn't last. Time will force it to change. So we become attached to these things in life, whatever they might be. That's why the marketing world, they're very smart. They understand time. That's what they come out with new things in a certain time frame. The things are already created, believe me, like iPhone 20 is already there. Okay, so don't get excited about iPhone 14 because iPhone 20 is already there. but they know the time when to release it. When they see the enthusiasm go down, then they release the new one. Then they release the new one to keep us focused on that newness. And then the intelligent person goes, you know what? I might as well keep the old thing. It still works. There's a book, it's a very interesting book. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. And it says that you can't even tell if a millionaire is living next door to you, because how he became a millionaire, because he didn't spend his money and waste his time. So he keeps an old car or a used car, or he's never overwhelmed by all the newness, because he or she knows it's going to diminish. They understand the impact of time. Question is, as devotees, do we remember enough the impact of time to sort of, kind of put a fire under us and get us more excited about Krishna consciousness? That's the secret. I can't help but share with you my experience last night here in Atlanta. We had a concert with Genevieve Harrison in Atlanta last night. She had been in New York, I think, the week before. And I was fortunate to be able to assist her manager in trying to promote it here in Atlanta. And he was so nervous. Oh my God, how are we going to fill up this theater? It's the 850-seat theater. And I said, Prabhu, it's going to be fine. Krishna's going to help us. It's going to happen. And as we were standing there receiving the devotees, it was unbelievable, the enthusiasm, not just from devotees, just from yoga groups and this group and that group. And I'm looking at thinking, this is incredible. This is a dream I've had my whole life as a devotee musician, seeing this enthusiasm. And then her presentation is absolutely, if you haven't seen her, you have to see Janavi Mataji. Her presentation was so Krishna conscious, so elevated, that the room was just lifted up. I see one of our Atlanta devotees there. Champak Lata, is that you?
Yes, Prabhu, it's me.
What was your experience last night?
It was blissful, Prabhu. It was out of this world experience. It was something where you can actually connect with Krishna.
Mm.
It was amazing. I have never been to one, but like you said, it was completely Krishna conscious. I remember one line where she said, I see you in sun and moon. And I was amazed that this is actually chapter 10.
Yes.
And how she has put that Bhagavad Gita in her songs.
It was amazing.
So yeah, Prabhu, it was amazing. It was out of this world.
And one of the most amazing things was the fact that all these unrelated people, okay, there are devotees everywhere in the group, but there were all these unrelated to ISKCON people jumping up and down and dancing during the kirtan. Because she's so smart. She does her songs in English and so many different things. And as Champak Lata is saying and describing Krishna so many ways. And then at the end, it gets off the chain, as they say, with a kirtan. Mridanga, kartals, dancing, chanting, everyone. So as Prabhupada says here, the movements for freedom through political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda can do no benefit for anyone. Maybe some small benefit. But what Janavi Mataji did last night was huge benefit, huge preaching, glorifying the holy names of the Lord, Govinda, Yadava. It was just unbelievable how she and her team took advantage of time. So I went to her manager at one point and said, because it was supposed to start at 7, time. I said, but is it ready yet? He said, no, we got to wait for a few more people. Then he said, it's time. And when the time came and the curtains opened, oh my God, the people went crazy because it was the right time. And Krishna, being time, allowed us to have time, gave himself to us in the form of time, that we all came together to some difficulty. Parking was difficult. It was cold outside. But Krishna arranged the time for us. Okay, we have time. We have time to become pure devotees. How long does it take to become a pure devotee? Because again, looking at time, does it take, by the grace of Krishna, this October is 49 years since I joined the movement. So 49 years of time that I could have used in a different way. Because before I was a musician also. So my time was spent trying to pursue success in the music industry. I wasted time. Time is Krishna. He's presenting himself. We either use it intelligently or we waste it. Wasting it means like I don't think of Krishna doing that frame, that incremental framework of time. But if I'm intelligent and I know that time is coming and time is diminishing everything, including my physical body. So what am I going to do with the time that I have left? Let's go to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I love this quote from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In fact, the band that we had in Atlanta, the Murari Band, we had a song and it had this verse in that song. Forget the past, ne'er the future dream at all. Act with times that are with thee, and progress ye shall call. Forget the past. Past is gone. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, let the past sleep. Sometimes people say, don't wake up a sleeping dog. So don't worry about past. The problem for most of us, the past is screwing up, messing up our present. We're so concerned about that thing that happened yesterday. Of course, yesterday was a beautiful thing that happened. So remembering that is purifying our heart. Remembering the beautiful kirtan, the chanting. Her voice was, oh my God. Whew. And her physical presence was angelic. It's beautiful. So remembering that, I'm getting purified. Remembering this wonderful young devotee purifying me. Remembering the dancing, the chanting, purifying me. But all this other stuff, what she or he did to me yesterday or the day before, years before, decades before, I'm allowing that to interfere with my remembering Krishna right now? Foolish. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, let the past sleep. We should learn this. Let the past sleep. You cannot change the past. Don't believe any of the movies that you've seen, like Quantum Leap. The guy goes into the past, or Time Machine, they go into the past. Let the past sleep. Number two, don't dream about the future. Now, that can be a positive aspect to thinking of the future. Planning to serve Krishna is no problem. Now, the result is not up to you, no matter what your plans are. Best laid plans can be frustrated, will be frustrated by the Lord. So planning how to serve Krishna, that's your intelligence. What will I do today? Like today is what, Thursday, whatever the date is. What are you going to do today? I know you have to go to work. I know some of you have to go to school. I know you have to take care of children, but what are you going to do for your Krishna consciousness today? You got to excuse my English, you have to set aside time. It's such a play on words. How are you going to set aside Krishna? He's time. We got to remember he's time. So we want to set aside time. Okay, fine. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, don't dream the future, but if you think of the future, think of how you'll serve Krishna in the future. Okay, Sunday feast is coming. Festival is, oh my God, tomorrow is Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. And if you don't plan today for tomorrow's disappearance, you may not find the time. Although time is Krishna, time is always there. Can't find it, it's always there. But if you don't plan, so there's a positive dimension to thinking of the future if you do it in Krishna consciousness. But in material consciousness, don't think of it because you can't affect it. Even if we're planning to serve Krishna tomorrow or even this afternoon, something might interfere. Like for instance, last night I had invited this one group of friends of mine from my hometown who I'm working with on some project there. And they had planned to come last night. And then the Mataji, who's a good friend, she called me and said, Mr. Benny, I'm in the hospital and I can't come. And all the people were depending on me to come. So I'm sorry, I can't come. She had planned to come, but something happened within her karma structure, whatever. We may plan for tomorrow. It may never happen. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this is the most important thing. You can put it on your hat. You can put it on your t-shirts. You can pin it on your wall. You can take it to the bank. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, act, A-C-T, with times that are with thee. He says it in the Christian vernacular, thee, and progress ye shall call. That is like a powerful as they say, in personal development, motivational speaking, all that good stuff. You can't find anything more powerful than that. Act with the time that you have right now, and progress you'll call. Whatever you want to do, whether it's Krishna consciousness or mundane activities, the time you have right now, this moment, if you act with that time, you focus on that time, you utilize every parana or whatever little aspect of that time for your material goals, more importantly, our spiritual goals. Act with times that are with you right now, the time you have right this moment. We have a second right here, all of us on this call. Now, we can either be distracted or we can be focused. I may or may not be the most erudite presenter of the philosophy, but maybe something I said, if you were listening, you can take it to the bank. You can use it today. I'm praying to Krishna, please let me say even one thing that devotees can say, yes, I'm going to enhance my devotional practice by that. So that our association is meant for that purpose. Our association is meant to relish Krishna consciousness together, become enlivened. Who knows that verse? Matchita matgata pranas bodhiyantas prastra. Who knows that verse from Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Ramcham, go ahead.
Yeah, Matchita madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha.
What does it mean? Tell us.
Yeah, so Matchita madgata prana. Lord said, those who put their heart and soul on me, Matchita madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam, and discuss among themselves, bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam, and they glorify me always, kathayantascha mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha, and they always put their heart and mind on me, so they are very dear to me.
Yeah, and that ramantecha, they derive great satisfaction and bliss by enlightening one another about me. We're looking for happiness in that corner, this corner, in the bank, in my house, wherever. And Krishna's telling us, you derive the great satisfaction by enlightening one another about me, as we're trying to do here. Unfortunately, on Zoom it's kind of hard, but when you're physically together, we can share some energies and back and forth. But at least we can try. Because Krishna's telling us, ramantecha, tushyanticha, ramantecha. They're relishing by enlightening one another about my glories. That's the best use of time. Otherwise, time is fearful. And Lord, not Rishabdev, but I believe it's Kapila Muni talking to his mother, Devahuti, correct? Yes, Devahuti. And he's describing time. I had a couple of verses, I can't pull them up. Yeah, Kapila. Kapila says to Devahuti in 3rd chapter, 3rd canto, 29th chapter, text 37, the time factor who causes the transformation of the various material manifestations is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who does not know that time is the same Supreme Personality is afraid of the time factor. Anyone who does not know that time is the same Supreme Personality is afraid of time. So let's get that as clear as we can. Time is Krishna. And even more specifically, the super soul is this Kala as well. Prabhupada explains that. So then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says very briefly, everyone is afraid of the activities of time, but a devotee who knows that the time factor is another representation or manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to fear from the influence of time. So that's something we should really meditate upon. Although time destroys everything, takes away everything, it's still Krishna. So then we can remember Krishna in the course of time, remembering that time is a manifestation of the Lord. We can, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, act with the time that you have right now and you'll have progress. What kind of progress? If you want material progress, you'll get that by focusing your learning and education and endeavors to get something. Or more importantly, the progress ye shall call means we will make spiritual advancement. If we chant nicely, if we say today, I'm going to improve my chanting, it's not even a question of how many rounds. Of course, we've committed ourselves to 16, but it's the quality of the rounds. My former temple president, Balabhadra Prabhu, whom I quote so many times because I learned so much from him, he said, if you can chant one round and hear every syllable, you will not have any problems during the day. One round, what to speak of 16? I venture to say, I know I don't hear every mantra in all 16 rounds. I try to hear as much as I can because I get distracted. And I would say most of us here would have a similar kind of problem. But he told us one round, every syllable. How many syllables? 16? Every single one in the whole round. Absorb yourself. And then Maya has a difficult time to get in there. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhaka. So Krishna's like the sun. Maya is like darkness. Where there's sunlight, there's no darkness. And therefore, Prabhupada put that in the back of Godhead on the front. So when Maya tries to get in, but we're so absorbed in trying to hear Krishna's name, Maya can't get in. And at some point, Maya says, this is a nice devotee. I will help him. So that, and it mentions in, where is it, Bhagavad Gita, because Prabhupada mentions that verse. Yeah, here it is. He mentions this verse in the purport from what we read today. He says, verse 9. I'm sorry, I have a different verse. Well, the one I want to share with you, I'll bring that one. And most of you know this verse. Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatitai tan brahma bhuyai kalpate. That's 1426. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So that is such an incredible way to look at it. If we just focus on our devotional service, don't worry about time, don't worry about the ravishes of time, the influence of time, just keep time. Remember, time is Krishna. Kalo asmi. And then we keep performing our devotional service. Bhajitam priti purvakam. And that bhajitam priti purvakam means the improving, offering love in our service, doing the service with love. Then Krishna does the rest, the Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna takes care of everything else. He's proven that over and over. We just celebrated Govardhan Puja, and he proved in that pastime that I will protect you, do not fear. He brought the residents of Vrindavan under the hill, lifted it up for 7 days and protected them. So he tells us in Bhagavad Gita 1866, just surrender unto me. I will protect you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. So he's demonstrating that. So we have every reason to give our focus to Krishna. That is my main point. We have every logical reason to focus on Krishna at every moment, as much as the mundane person has every logical reason in order to become successful to focus on what they do to make it better. So we should not hesitate. We can learn from the mundane people. In the business world, they have something called benchmarking. You take a successful model and you benchmark it. You try to follow that. So the mundane people are becoming successful. Why? Because they focus, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, let act with times that are with thee, in progress ye shall call. So we learn from that is that we act in Krishna consciousness and focus on Krishna consciousness, focus on Krishna, chanting his holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and do it with love and focus and attention. Then Krishna lifts us and purifies us. We travel through the modes of material nature, which is also mentioned here today, 3 modes of material nature, and we attain his lotus feet in the ultimate end. So, and the other last point is that Krishna as time, we should remember that he's time. So when whatever time it is, we can think of Krishna. That's the main point. Krishna's time, so whatever time it is, I'll think of Krishna because he is time. The other question we should ask ourselves is, how much do I personally think of Krishna? Not just a philosophy, Not just, we know the verses, we know different things. I mean, Krishna himself in the course of our day. Challenge yourselves or challenge ourselves. How much do I actually do that? As I'm going through my daily activities, my routines, how many times do I just stop? I don't have to physically stop moving, but just stop all this mental stuff, background noise, white noise, whatever you want to call it, and actually think of the beautiful form of Krishna. So you have to have some mechanisms in place. The holy name of the Lord is the most important thing. If you just chant it, then Krishna comes into the mind. Like I was telling devotees the other day, in front of me, I have pictures of Krishna, posters, a bead bag with a picture I love of Radha and Krishna, just so many things to remind me. So when I look at Gopal, I just feel, it feels wonderful. So challenge yourself during the day. Just stop for a second, just think of the form of Krishna, or have a picture you can look at and remind yourself of Krishna. That's the best use of our time. And then on top of that, trying to give Krishna consciousness to others, because Srila Prabhupada says in the beginning of this purport today, all these other movements and things, they're not doing real benefit to people, but preaching Krishna consciousness, spreading Krishna consciousness is the real benefit. So I'll stop there. It's time for me to stop. So see if anyone has a question or comment. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank
For a
you,
nice
Injavali.
class about time. I always admire this outside. If I stand outside, I see these plants. They're changing their colors. Their just leaves are falling. Who said the time? How do they know? So they have timely. They do everything.
Yes, yes. And that
So
time is Krishna. He's
that's
causing
Krishna.
it to happen. But we tend, yes, Kalpesh, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yeah.
Very glad to hear your voice in the morning.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And please accept my humble obeisances and thank you for today's class.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, because this purport was like I was trying to think yesterday night as well, but not think, I didn't know that this is a topic which is going to come. But somehow the preaching has been indicated and the world movements for freedom through political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda. They cannot do benefit to anyone, or they are controlled by superior powers. So, and there is a sentence here about the philanthropic activities. So we see in the society level, with different class of people, several humanitarian activities going on in the name of philanthropy. And I kind of understand knowing this philosophy background of it, but that philanthropy is not somehow solving the problem. And like, that's my view on it, because I compare that analogy with putting water to the roots and nourish the whole leaves kind of thing. So, but when I try to propagate these things to people, different classes of people, in my experience, I noted down some of my experiences. I'm going to read out one by one. So I experienced that they are insulting sadhus, gurus, and shastra, and not seeing what they are trying to establish in the society. Then second experience I have, not agreeing to shastra and making their own interpretations of shastra. Third, my experience is this all shastras are written by human, and they are called pandit, and they will try to protect always their own thing. Then fourth is like one sampradaya is comparing to other and telling I am right, other is saying I am right. Yes. One say I am the biggest God, other is saying I am the biggest God. Fifth is like religion abuse, and this is not doing right things, and so religion is the wrong thing in the current times. And the sixth one is some of the new sampradayas like Sikhism, for example, saying that, oh, we removed all the outdated rituals, like for example, onion and garlic which is strictly prohibited in Vaishnavas.
Mm.
And they said, oh, onion and garlic, because they are belonging to warrior community. So they kind of looked at all the wisdoms and then they told. So when these are like I'm experiencing this, and sometimes, okay, oh, there cannot be one God. There, because we always see things in one singularity point of view. So we wanted to nail it down to the one. So I just noted down what kind of different experience I'm getting. And
Yeah.
how do we really preach in that kind of atmosphere?
That's very good observations, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it brings to mind to me, the first point is Bhagavad Gita. We should always refer back to Bhagavad Gita. We're on this path, progressive path of realization. And you have to remember that realizations are not, they're not our property. Realizations come from Krishna, the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam. He gives the knowledge. Problem we have is thinking it's coming from me. So you mentioned that they write their own books, they do this and that, and they give their own ideas. And then you know it's their own idea because another sadhu, rishi, saint, disagrees with that saint. So then they all have different, so wait a minute, they're talking about the same subject. How is it they have different ideas? Because the ideas are influenced by ego. The ego influences what we say. We present something. I have a little quote that I made up. It says, you have a right to your opinion, but it doesn't mean your opinion is always right. So we all have opinions. I was noticing Srila Prabhupada in one purport describing that Krishna's closing his eyes when he was in the lap of Putana. And he quoted 3 different acharyas, 3 different interpretations, why Krishna closed his eyes. I believe one was because he had to kill a woman and it's a nurse, and 3 different acharyas, 3 different opinions about one activity of Krishna. So the only solution for all of that, because we will be confused, believe me, Prabhu, after practicing quote unquote for so many years, I get lost sometimes, I get confused sometimes. I have to reach out to devotees like Vishnu Gada and different devotees just to check my realizations to make sure they're okay. Okay, like sometimes you'll say something, you're not exactly sure if that's right or wrong. So then your real question is, what should I do? In the midst of all of this confusing philosophy, Sikhism, Jainism, Vaishnavism, thisism, thatism, Christianity, Judaism, all these things that are influencing the actions of people. People do good because of their religions. People do bad because of their religions. So what do I do? Bhagavad Gita tells us, chapter 4, text 34, for all of us who are on this path, trying to make progress in Krishna consciousness, it's critical, it's essential, this verse. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Number 1, get a spiritual master. That's number 1. Find someone. And there's 2 kinds of spiritual masters, Diksha, Siksha. So find someone that you can take instruction from, someone who's experienced on the path. And as you're traversing this like a razor's edge, as you're traversing this path, you can reach out and say, Prabhu or Mataji, please help me on this. I'm thinking like that. Just like you brought up today, Kopesh, you brought some points. Maybe you're sure about them, maybe you're not, but you brought them to all of us so we can think about it together. So that is number 1. To me, not to me, but according to the Rupa Goswami, this is one of the most essential of the principles of devotional service, is accepting a spiritual master, finding a spiritual master. And remember, again, it's 2, Diksha and Siksha. Some of us, or some of you may not have a Diksha Guru yet, but you definitely have Siksha Guru. Number 1, you have Srila Prabhupada. Don't ever forget, he is your spiritual guide, Siksha Guru forever, whether you have Diksha like myself or not. And he said, I am in my books. So we just go to the books. Like I said, do a deep dive. If you're concerned about something, do a deep dive in Prabhupada's books. You'll find every answer you're looking for, even if you just do it in Bhagavad Gita. So all of these confusing things that are out there, whether it's philanthropic, as you mentioned, philosophical, religious, from our Hindu-based culture, whatever it is, okay, if it doesn't conclude by saying Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, then you don't put your heart and soul there. You can respect everyone. Do not disrespect anyone's philosophy. That is what they believe. Fine. You don't worry about that. But our goal is to try to bring people to the conclusion, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, Krishna is everything. Again, that last night, that concert, Janavi did that in a very special way. And at one point, she just brought everyone into singing Hare Krishna without any instruments. And she just said, let us take advantage of this space, this moment, and let's just listen to the holy name. And I was amazed how people just followed her into that space, including myself. And then she said, let's do it one more time. And then it went 3 or 4 more times. It's just her voice and everyone's voice, with the conclusion that she said, this holy name of the Lord is none different from the Lord. So Kalpesh, the point is, everyone's not on that level. It's our duty, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad Yada Charti Shrestha, we set the example of what it means to be a devotee of the Lord. And those around us, when they associate with us, they will get the message. So again, thank you for bringing that up. Do you have another point you wanted to make, Kalpesh?
No, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Where's our host? Ramsham, do you have a point? I see your hands up, Ramsham, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please
Hare
accept
Bol.
my humble obeisance. All Guru Krishna Prabhupada Guru Maharaj ki jai. So I don't have question, Prabhuji, just for the comment, you nicely, like the way you brought the point, Janvi Harasan Mataji, how you see you the time and all to glorify Krishna in the terms of like, by for singing, and that was so ecstatic, all the devotees mesmerizing that, and it attracts to the others, those who, like also in the outside world, they think like how we can glorify the Krishna. So they can be also converted, or if by hearing those sound, later or sooner they can be also, become devotee, maybe when they get the Sukriti. So that was really wonderful, Hare Krishna.
And then one gentleman, as I was leaving and, mingling in the lobby with everyone. So this one person, I don't know him. I've never met him, but I saw him in the beginning. He came to me at the end. He said, Prabhu, I was crying so many times tonight. And I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. It was so wonderful. He said, I was crying so many times tonight. I just felt so inspired. I said, Janavi has done, in fact, after this class, I'm going to write her a letter of appreciation, because she's doing what many of us have desired to do. Many of us, meaning the musicians in ISKCON, we've always wanted to be like that. She was at one of the main concert venues in Atlanta, one that's well known. And I was thinking, here is Prabhupada's devotee doing this and spreading Krishna consciousness in such an effective, attractive way. And all these people have come to see her. Some of them spend as much as $40 for their tickets to come and hear the holy name. So this is the real best use. Best use of time is what was happening last night. Arranging, like we do for Rath Yatra, Sunday feast. Rath Yatra is once a year, but the opportunity is every day.
Right.
I know Dronacharya Prabhu is there, so I'm not trying to give you any extra work, Drona, but the spirit of Rath Yatra, the spirit of Janmashtami, the spirit of Govardhan Puja is that the opportunity is every day. Act with times that are with thee, and progress you shall call. So we should take advantage of time and use every second for Krishna, because we don't have a guarantee of another moment. Prabhupada says that some man, he's very rich, he tells the doctor, if you give me 4 more years so I can finish all my projects, I'll give you any amount of money. And the doctor says, brother, I'm sorry, I can't give you 4 more seconds. And then they try to become like Hiranyakasipu. Hiranyakasipu says, I don't want to be killed like this, I don't want to be killed like that, I don't want to be killed like this, I don't want to be killed like that. Now I've covered all the bases. So the rich man is thinking, I have this security system, I have this insurance policy, I have this, and then he dies. Like our dear Steve Jobs, such a successful man. Krishna took him like that. So use our time. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, is the host still there?
Yeah, host is still here.
Close this out.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Dronacharya Prabhu is able to speak or not, but thank you very much, Balabhadra Prabhu. Wonderful things for us to contemplate through the day.
Take the time.
Take the time.
To comfortably. Hare Krishna.
We will meet again.
There's Drona. There's Drona.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Prabhu.
I was coming up in the elevator. I apologize.
Oh, this is the elevator voice. Okay, I got it.
Elevator speech. Yeah. Okay, I'm inside now. Just wanted to, you mentioned tomorrow is the disappearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So we have a program planned. It begins tomorrow at 10 a.m. Many of you saw it in the newsletter and the announcement on Tuesday evening. But we strongly encourage everybody to please attend tomorrow. Begins at 10 a.m. We'll go to about 1 p.m. So there'll be remembrances, homages of Srila Prabhupada by his disciples, as well as all the devotees who want to speak. We're going to be doing a bathing of Srila Prabhupada, the Murti of Srila Prabhupada, Pushpanjali flower offering. There'll be a DVD. Mother Sangeeta has picked out a little movie, a half-hour movie on Srila Prabhupada, and then of course Prasadam feast. A lot of preparations are being made to offer to Srila Prabhupada as well. Guru Puja, Arti Kirtan. So I know it's a work day. At the same time, it's a Friday. Some people have the ability to work from home or a little bit of flexibility. So if you do have that, you can make that time to come and celebrate. There's that word again, right? To celebrate all that Srila Prabhupada has done and means to us. That would be fantastic.
That's beautiful. It's called take the time, make the time. But you can't make time and you can't take it, but we understand, right? It's Krishna's time. So we utilize the time tomorrow. I'll be on Harinam between that time, 10 and 1, but then there's a program in the evening in the temple. But utilize that time tomorrow. And like Vishnu Gadar Prabhu and myself, we said several times, it's a very painful time for those who were there when it happened, when Prabhupada passed away. And everyone remembers exactly where they were when they got the news. I was in the back of a Sankirtan van coming from the airport, book distribution, when the devotee told us. And it just, what came over us was just blank. We just couldn't move. We couldn't even think anymore. We gathered in the temple room with our temple president, and we just sat and looked at each other for like half an hour. Just didn't know, no one knew what to say. No one knew what to do. It was so heavy and powerful. Because Prabhupada, as you said, what he means to us, what he did for us. So this is the time, starting right now, remembering Prabhupada, starting right now until tomorrow. So you be in the right mood tomorrow. Take some time today. Read Leela Amrita. Take some time today. Think of Prabhupada. And then tomorrow we'll be in the right mood to glorify him. So thank you, Dronacharya Prabhu. And I wish you all a very successful, blissful, enlightening Srila Prabhupada's disappearance festival. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Balabhadra Prabhu.
Thank you.
Vanchakopatarubhyascha, Kripasindhubhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Haribol. All glories to Srila